generative.fam.news.
The founder and CEO of Mattress AI, a SaaS platform that allows mattress retailers to build and deploy AI assistants in their digital marketing and on their website. The man is here himself. We're going to build some really cool AI tools live on the show. So if you're listening, you're going to get some of that good stuff where you can pop over to YouTube and see it unfold. Blake Austin is here, and the Fam Podcast starts right now. Hey, are you a mattress retailer looking to supercharge your business? Introducing Podium, your secret weapon. I use it, I'm a huge fan of it, and with Podium's AI-powered lead conversion, you can engage with customers in seconds via text, making it feel like they're talking to a friend. But hey, that's just the beginning. Podium offers texting, payments, reviews, website chat, and more, all in one place. You've got to be the most responsive retailer to help customers solve those sleep problems in the moment. Harness the power of Podium today and start growing your business. Visit podium.com right now to learn more.
Welcome to the Fam Podcast with Mark Kinsley. This is where the best in the bedding business get even better.
Hey fam, welcome to the podcast. Blake, I brought out my dirty fam hat for you. Sorry about that. Don't know what's going on. Must have worked out in
it. Thanks for having me, Mark. I'm excited to be here and excited to build some stuff live in public with you.
Well, for those of you who don't know, I'm so excited too because I'm a super AI nerd. I would say that I would love to be at the bleeding edge of all things that are happening in generative AI, but I can't dedicate all of my time to it. But you've built some incredible tools and you've got a bunch of happy mattress retailers that are out there using Mattress AI. But for those of you who don't know, tell people about Mattress AI and tell them about your background, Blake.
Sure. So the background behind Mattress AI is about 2 years ago, I heard this futurist and technologist, this billionaire guy called Peter Diamandis. He made a statement that said that he predicts that in 5 years, it will be illegal for a doctor to give a prescription or recommendation without first consulting AI. So when I heard that, I pushed pause on the recording. I was like, okay, what does this world look like where these figures that we trust to be the smart people are consulting AI before helping us? And with some background in the mattress and furniture industry, I thought, that's going to be a place where mattress sellers are going to appreciate a co-pilot, a trusted source of knowledge to help them match people to the right mattress. And so I met my co-founder, Michael, and we started cracking at Mattress AI. And just like you put it on the intro, Mattress AI, very simply, is a SaaS platform, a dashboard where you can build and customize an AI assistant. The AI assistants are predominantly focused on selling mattresses. So asking all the mattress matching questions. How do you sleep? What are your sleep issues? All these things. And then looking at the retailer's inventory and making a mattress match. For the retailer, the beauty is they get this really rich lead of exactly what the person's looking for in a mattress, as well as their contact information that they can follow up and act on and hopefully sell the user a mattress.
I love it. What a great use case. And I think that's one of the key things here. There are so many different use cases with generative AI. And one of the things you brought up in the very beginning, that thing that sparked you to go down this path, I think is very fascinating. Let's unpack it a little bit here so people get to thinking of this less as a toy and more of a tool. And I taught an entire class to our mattress mentorship mastermind. It was a day-long course on how to use this and how to basically think about it like the Iron Man suit. In Iron Man 1, Tony has the suit. He's the superhero. But by Iron Man 3, many people had access to the same technology. It was who used the suit the best. And so when you were talking about that doctor example, I think that is highly relevant because if you go in and you're going to talk to a doctor, you're going to deal with that one person as a clearinghouse of knowledge and information. But what if that doctor could access thousands and thousands of other doctors and other information and research and all the inputs that lead to a good diagnosis? I agree with that statement. I would rather my doctor be AI empowered because I think in academia, in medicine, there's a bunch of silos. Everybody wants to cure cancer so they can make money off it. And now you're going to have more information at your fingertips. And it should be, I think, at some point illegal not to use it in the best interest of the patient.
Yeah, and to continue on your Iron Man analogy, which I love, if you haven't seen the movie in a while, there's Jarvis. Jarvis is the thing that it like fills the room up, and Tony Stark is like moving stuff around in real time. And, when that movie came out, whatever, 10, 15 years ago, that seemed like mind-bogglingly impossible future that will never come. With the advancements in AI and some of the stuff that we're going to go over just today, I hope that people start to believe that that's a future that a lot of us are going to see in our lives, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Well, the last time you and I saw each other in person, we were at Sleep Summit 2024. And of course, I'm zipping around hosting and doing all the different things. And we got a DeLorean time machine and Marty McFly impersonators and speakers and all the fun stuff. And we breezed past each other for a minute. We're like, hey. And you showed me a couple of podcasts that you made from what was happening at Sleep Summit. So I'm like, okay, I emailed you. I'm like, how did you do that? But describe that use case. Like you were sitting, what were you doing? Recording audio?
Yeah, so I was just recording audio. And actually, the funny thing is, and this is how AI works out, is like the part that you were impressed by was like the easiest part. I mean, once I told you about Notebook LM, you're like, oh, you just throw it in there and it creates a podcast. Like that's the super easy part. Some stuff we're going to go over today, the actual like architecting how everything works and making sure the user experience is really good, is the part that I've recently really started falling in love with and enjoying. So I'm excited to get into it. But what was your question?
Well, how did you make those podcasts? So just as a simple use case, like you were sitting there in the audience at Sleep Summit, and did you open up the voice memo app on your phone and record what the speaker was saying?
Exactly. Yeah. So I just had it sitting in my lap with the voice memo recorder on, and then I took that audio file. I didn't even transcribe it. And I just dropped that audio file into an app that Google has made called Notebook LM. There's no spaces, and it's the letter L and the letter M at the end. And then when you drop any sort of data in Notebook LM, it lets you manipulate and do all kinds of cool stuff with it. But one thing that it does just almost as a default is generates this little AI podcast that's normally between 8 to 15 minutes, but it's these two, this male figure and this female character that are just like talking about whatever the file that you dropped in there is. So I was playing around with it prior to Sleep Summit, and I dropped our entire mattress database from Mattress AI that has all of the encyclopedia of mattresses that retailers carry. And the podcast was pretty funny. They were just like oogling at all the different kinds of mattresses that are in there and how they can be different and stuff. So you can get some pretty funny results. But Notebook LM is a very easy to use tool that, it sounds techy and new, but if you just drop some files in there, it's very intuitive in terms of what you can do with it.
I've got it pulled up on the screen. Anybody watching on YouTube or on social, you're going to be able to see this. But I have 3 notebooks in here, and I'm going to tell you the 3 different use cases because I think they're funny and fascinating. So Tara and I, my wife Tara and I, went out to Pueblo, Colorado for Jenny Smith's 40th birthday. That's Matt Smith, the CEO of Snooze Mattress and Wellness Company. That's his wife. She was having her 40th birthday. And I thought this Notebook LM was so stinking cool that I just talked into my voice app for about 5 minutes, telling funny stories about our adventures together and how wonderful Jenny is and all this different stuff. I just kind of ranted and didn't edit it. And I uploaded it to this notebook. And you can see here, boom, we've got all this information over here on the left-hand side. And then you go to the notebook guide and you click load right here, and it's actually going to generate that podcast for you. So if you go back and it generated this hilarious, thoughtful, realistic sounding podcast that was all about Jenny's birthday. Okay, another one. I was listening to a different AI podcast, and one of the guys was telling about a friend of his whose college group chat blew up over the weekend, and like he couldn't read through the entire group chat. And so he copied and pasted everything into a notebook, and he generated a podcast that he listened to on the way to work that was explaining his group chat. Well, I thought that was such a clever idea that we're getting ready for a group friend trip to Key West. So what did I do? Well, I took the group chat, I pasted it in here, and then I also uploaded an audio file where I was talking about some of the funny stories that happened previously. and I had it generate a podcast. And then I sent it to everybody and I told them, guys, I've been hacked and we may need to be on the lookout, but some podcasters got a hold of our group chat and they made this podcast. And everybody was like freaking out. Like I got phone calls right away and I'm like, no, it's a joke. Like I used some really crazy AI stuff to make this from our group chat and from some of the stories I told, and everybody's freaking out. And then the third use case, so those are good ones, like, hey, make a birthday podcast. Hey, I'm going to get caught up on the group chat. Or if you want to freak your friends out, copy the group chat and say some podcasters got a hold of it. And then the third one was Sleep Summit Speakers Podcast. So you inspired that, Blake, which was I wanted to take the transcripts from our speakers at Sleep Summit, and I wanted to make mini podcasts that sort of consolidated the information in the teachings. And then I'm going to release those either here on the FAM podcast as like a supplement, or there's a bunch of different ways you can distribute that content. So super fun.
So yeah, Notebook LM is really cool. And just to, those are really fun examples. And the thing that you did to your friends, I think is actually like really important. Tricks like that or like playful things help educate general people about like what AI is capable of. So they're less likely to get scammed or, stuff like that. But how to think about Notebook LM for actual like business use cases is as an amazing data analytics assistant. So I was at Sleep Summit, actually, I was talking to Pascal. I forget the name of his company, starts with a B.
Baudouin. The Canadian.
And I couldn't pronounce it either. So
I probably just botched it, but hey, we love you, Pascal.
So he was talking about a couple of data sources that he has and he was talking about a project he was about to come up with where he wanted to change the way he, to not get too long-winded, how he analyzes things to optimize his warehouse work. And I told him about Notebook LM. I was like, just drop both of those Excel spreadsheets. It wasn't Excel, it was a different program he was using, but just drop them both in there. And then you can have conversation with it, just like you would if you paid a data analytics professional $5,000 to go through both of those documents. So I haven't followed up with him to see if he did it, but in terms of actual business use cases, that's how to use Notebook LM.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the different things I've done. Oh, I'll give you a simple example. Last year for Sleep Summit, we had a production team. And when I got the quote for 2024, it was quite a bit higher. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into the actual audio, visual, and everything that's going to be on the production front. And I was like, man, why is this so much higher? I just dropped it all into ChatGPT, both contracts. And I said, give me an itemized line by line about what's different and break it down for me. So Notebook LM, I think one of the important distinctions about Notebook LM too, especially from a business use case standpoint, is it is source-based, which means it's only going to pull from the information you put in. It's not going to go gather up all these different data sources like ChatGPT, rounding them up off the web or off other content that people have fed into it. This is only your goods. So only the information you put in there. So if you want to put in presentations or spreadsheets or documents or audio files, it's only going to reference those materials, which makes it really cool and kind of proprietary to your business. It's not going to hallucinate as much.
Exactly. Yep. Very true. So do you want to get into it?
Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay. And for the crowd at home, Mark has not used this app we're going to be using today. So I'm hoping to get some oohs and ahs out of Mark about a new AI tool. So
let's go.
How am I looking here, Mark, on the screen share?
Looking good. Yeah, you can maybe full screen it if you want to, but I can see it just fine. It says, for those of you not watching, it says Bolt.new, N-E-W. And it says, what do you want to build? A big black screen, prompt, run, edit, and deploy full stack web apps. Ooh, this is exciting.
Already excited. We haven't even started. So I'm going to try to give that Jarvis, Tony Stark experience that we were mentioning at the beginning of the podcast. So let's first talk about what is it that we're looking to build?
What do we want to build? Are you asking me? I just get to make it up?
Yep.
Well, let's take, so let's do a spin-off of Mattress AI, which is your company. Like, what would be another use case that would help mattress retailers complete that experience in a way? Is it something for the salesperson?
Sure. Okay, so maybe an app that salespeople can reference that does what exactly? Let me think. Help me
What if
out
it,
here, Marcus.
what if it was like sleep related? I like the idea of closing the loop between sleep and the mattress. And I think sometimes it's a dotted line. So what if we had certain information about sleep and we helped the salesperson connect that information to the mattress, the pillows, or the sheets? So it's almost like training in a way, but it has that purpose filled connection back to sleep.
Okay, let's give it a shot. So again, for the Tony Stark experience, I'm going to use this audio app that I have here called Whisper, and let's see. Let's try to create this prompt together. Okay, help us build an app that helps salespeople that sell mattresses and bedding do research and learn about how the products that they carry in the store relate back to helping the shoppers get quality sleep and improving the quality of their life, rather than just the features, more about the benefits for customers. Okay, now one thing with Bolt.new is that once you push enter, it does generate for a while because it's building a real app right here in the server. So we're going to take a little bit of time on this prompt. In terms of like a style guide, do you have any sort of website or anything that you think we could model it after?
Let's just model it after the fam.com,
Perfect.
just to keep it easy.
Yeah, fam.com. Okay. So what we're going to do for a style guide is I'm going to grab this screen and I'm going to drop it over here in Bolt.new. And
Okay,
I'm
so
going to say,
you put in text and then you did a screenshot of the fam.com.
yep,
Okay.
I'm going to say use the screenshot as a style guide for the app. Okay. What else could we add to this prompt, Mark?
Okay, salespeople, mattress, helping more about the benefits customers. Okay, use a screenshot as a style guide for the app. We could. Is there some interactivity that we could insert into it so that they can both? Well, I don't want to cross over
No
too much.
worries.
I'm like, is this like an educational app that they're going to use privately to train, or is this something that they're going to use in real time when they're interfacing with a customer? Because I think those are two different
Good.
use cases.
Yeah, good question. Let's make it like an app that's designed to be used on an iPad that the RSAs can use while they're interacting with a customer. Does that sound good?
Love it. Let's do it.
Let's
All
make
right.
it an app that works on an iPad that a RSA can use in front of a customer that helps educate the customer about the benefits of the products and how it's going to help them sleep better. Okay, I'm going to push generate on this, and then we'll kind of watch it work together. But it's going to start coding, and then it's going to give us a little preview. But what I hope that the listeners take from this, and I would love to hear your take on this, Mark, is that the future is going to be about having ideas, creative ideas about how to solve problems, being able to articulate them, which we just tried to do. We just tried to, I think you call it being a prompt boss, Mark. We just tried to articulate it really well. That's step 2. And then step 3 is what I think of as having gumption. So these things don't tend to work flawlessly the first time, or as you can see, look exactly how you want them to look the first time. So you have to have gumption to be able to keep going back and forth and making sure that these things work and look the way you want them to work and look. So you can still see my screen, right, Mark?
Yeah, I can see your screen. So for those of you listening, we now have this purplish blue screen that says Sleep Benefits Guide. The design is quite nice. It's got some iconography. It's got easy navigation, it looks like. So sleep quality, health benefits, and comfort technology. And so let me pause here for a moment. When you tell this to create an app, what is that application? It's just like a web-based app that is pulling from a data set and you can do some different navigation on it.
Yeah, so Bolt.new for the most part, unless you direct it otherwise, is going to default to a Next.js app, and you can see it's using Tailwind here. But yeah, it's a full stack. So this is the preview, but one thing that's really unique about Bolt and where they've jumped ahead of some of their competitors is they do the end to end. So you can deploy it right in Bolt, and it'll push to a dev or to production environment where it's actually usable. I mean, you can see from our preview here, it's not usable yet. It's cool that we just generated this in 20 seconds, but it's not anything you would want to, actually put on an iPad and give to an RSA just yet. But most of the buttons are responsive. Well, not most, but these three at least are bouncing back and forth between sleep quality, health benefits, and comfort technology. And then we can keep building from here. So let's see what it says at the end. Okay, so you can see it gives a suggestion to keep going. Would you like me to add more specific benefits or additional categories to the app? So where do you think we should go from here? I mean, the style and the colors are pretty painful, so we could fix that, or we could focus on functionality. What would you prefer, Mark?
Let's do functionality, because right now we have these three navigational buttons: sleep quality, health benefits, comfort technology. I want them to do something. So what do we want that sleep quality button to lead to?
Okay, so yep, right now it's leading to this big tab that says deep restorative sleep. And then for a tool for RSAs, this is kind of up your alley, Mark. What would be valuable for an RSA if they click on sleep quality and learn more? Or, we can completely change this, what happens here in the sleep quality tab.
I like
Would
the
it be
idea.
helpful to...
What if we did this? Colin Lawler from Sleep Score Labs was one of our
Yes.
speakers at Sleep Summit, and they've got great data on that site. And one of the projects they did was with Mattress Firm, and they did a defensible comparative study to find out, does a pillow fitting benefit the consumer? And they found that if you are fitted for a pillow versus choosing it on your own, the fitted person got an additional 8 hours of sleep a month. So something around like that knowledge base and reminding the RSA to introduce that and maybe how to do a pillow fitting could be really cool.
Okay, let's try it. Please include a section for sleep research where the RSA can quickly access different studies and things that help show the customer, the shopper, that quality bedding and quality mattresses have been proven to be beneficial to not only their sleep but their health and their lives. How is that for a follow-on prompt, Mark? Is there anything?
Love it. You just talk it. You don't have to type anymore. Welcome to the future, folks. We're here.
Please include a... Okay, we'll hit that. And
I
then
think
we can
this is
chat a little bit.
like an important pause point too. You said the third thing that you need to do with AI is like what you called gumption. And I think this is an important distinction to make. And this is where you take it from toy to tool. It's almost like, imagine that you have hired an assistant that's a Filipino native, and that person is really smart, like incredibly talented. There's a language barrier. And so you have to get the work that person produces for you, and then you need to ask them to refine it. So it's always, that person, or AI in this case, is always going to give you something to react to. And if it doesn't give you what you want the first time, you can't just say, oh, AI is dumb, moving on. No, it's like, go back and make sure that you give refinements, you give clarification. You are training for each project that you're deploying. And so being able to articulate things well, and that's why I called it a prompt boss in the course that I taught, is because a prompt engineer sounds so technical, but a good boss clearly gives that person the inputs they need in order to perform the task or the function to its maximum ability. So that's why
Yes.
the refinement piece is so important.
Yeah, and to even expound on that analogy a little bit of being a boss. Oops, that's not fun to look at.
Infinite us.
Um, Say it again.
Infinite us
Yeah, yeah.
up on screen. Yeah, expand on
uh,
the boss analogy.
yeah. So to expand on the boss analogy, one thing I've learned with dealing with a few of these different AI tools is that you either need to micromanage, and what I mean to use a code example is you either need to go in here and edit the code yourself, like actually make the code edits, or you need to just stay at a really high level and not micromanage, which, I've done a little bit of management, and that was always my management style is giving people big challenging tasks and allowing them, trusting them to accomplish it, or just doing it myself. Those are kind of the two contrasts. But like with tennis, you don't want to be in that middle zone of like kind of being detailed and instructive, but like not just doing it yourself. That's the area that AI tends to do really bad with. So I want to give an example right here because it's just bothering me in this app. And you can see we have down here at the bottom of each tab now, it added a section for research and studies where we could put in, Sleep Score is a great example. Their work, their public stuff that an RSA could immediately access. But here's what I'm going to do to show you what I mean here. So
Okay.
right now, the app is really ugly, to be honest. I want you to make it way more beautiful and user friendly and something that an RSA would want to use and engage with, on a regular basis. So you can see, like, that's kind of an insane thing to tell a computer,
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. And this is what I mean in terms of like prompting at a really high level. Like, just tell it, hey, make this more beautiful. And to maybe talk about why I think this is more effective is with that really open ended directive or that really open ended prompt. Now, the AI can explore all the different ways that it could make this app more beautiful, and it can pick the path that it thinks will deliver the best result. Rather than me trying to say, hey, make it look beautiful in this exact way and do it this exact way. Now it has this kind of clunky path to go down to try to make a beautiful app and still make me happy, the human. But by leaving it really, really open-ended, I'm interested to see the results that we get here.
Me too. And I like this thought process of keep it very high level, let the AI decide what's beautiful. And then you're going to learn something from that exercise as well. Like, hey, did it give me what I think is beautiful as well? The other thing you can do, like when you get more specific, is you can actually tell it to design certain things in the style of a designer that you like or an artist that you like, and it's going to start spitting it out in that way. Like if it's make it in the style of Monet, it will.
Yep. Yep. Or even make it in the style of an app that you really enjoy. Things like that work really well. Yeah, so you can see it added some styling. I mean, would you say this looks better? It's still, the purple still
You're not
bothering
loving the
me.
purple. I think it's kind of like soothing in a way. It's almost like sleepy
Okay.
soothing. I'm kind of digging it, man. I know. I think it
Okay.
looks good. It added some styling. The functionality looks, much easier. Now, okay, I want to connect the dots here real quickly between Notebook LM and Bolt.new, which we're looking
Yep.
at right now. Could you does this have a similar functionality in that you can give this source inputs that will inform the app that you're making here, or is it drawing from the web and all kinds of information all over the place?
So it's mostly, great question. And I thought of that exact point when I saw this. So this is a study, and it was just generated by AI. So I don't know if this is true at all. It does have a link here. Do you want to check this out?
Journal of Sleep Research. Yeah, let's check it.
Is that a real thing, Mark?
The Journal of Sleep Research, I believe, is a real thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that link is not working. So anyway, my point being is that the actual data would be something that you would want to double check on because AI is famous for hallucinating, but to answer your question specifically, what Bolt.new is going to do is it's going to give us the software architecture where we can plug our assets into. So, like you have those podcasts that you mentioned from Notebook LM. What we could say is here, since we're just playing around, and we'll kind of maybe give up on making this a real. Well, maybe not actually.
No, let's. What I like to do is take a bad idea and make it worse. Let's just keep making it worse and see what happens.
Okay, let's add a section called podcasts where we can put in a bunch of podcasts from our side that help educate the RSA on different sleep technologies, but also sales techniques and everything like that. The podcasts are going to be from a thing called Sleep Summit 2024. So let's make a tab for that. Okay, we'll plug that in. And
now,
so yeah, all these.
Like, what are you using to speak that? You're not even typing anything. I know that. So what's going on there?
Okay, I said Whisper. It's not Whisper. It's actually called Flow. So I downloaded Flow. Maybe it's called Whisper Flow. Can you see what I'm looking at on my screen?
WISPR. Whisper Flow.
So it's an app, and then I have it set up as a hotkey where I just hold a hotkey on my MacBook, and then I can just talk, and as whatever field the cursor is in, it will paste that information into there. And it's actually this app, shout out to them, not sponsored, but the other really cool thing they do is they clean up your speech. So if you do a lot of ums and ands, or if you kind of like stumble or mumble, it cleans up your speech before it prints it out. So very cool app.
All right, I'm downloading it right now. Just I popped over to another screen, and yeah, it's flowvoice.ai. Flowvoice.ai, and so it's bouncing up and down. I got a Mac, so I'm gonna download that right now. So that's really cool. Like I'm all about speed and efficiency too. So if you're building stuff, like you said, if you just want to speak it into existence, it's a lot easier than banging on banging on your keyboard and trying to get it, on and on it goes. I'm all about the speech to text.
Yep. I love it.
You're dropping you can see what it did here today, Blake. I freaking love this.
So you can see what it did here, Mark. It added a tab called Sleep Summit Podcasts, and it put some just stock dummy info in here for us.
Hey, most of the time people do call my podcast dummy info, so this works well.
Yeah, hopefully none of this is like real stuff. I don't want to hate on anyone, but from here, what you could ask Bolt is, what would be the next steps for getting real data and real podcasts into those spots for the Sleep Summit podcast? How do we load our actual podcast assets into this spot? So we'll see what it comes up with there. But yeah, it's starting to come together a little bit. And
look at the lines of code. Just there's so much code that it's producing that would have taken just days and days. And we're doing it instantaneously right here on the FAM podcast. And again, I just want to remind people as a kind of like a reset, we're here with Blake Austin, CEO, founder, Mattress AI, and we're building some tools live to inspire your thinking, to get you to understand what you can unleash with the power of AI. Now, we've explored a couple of different tools, and we want you to circle back with us. Like, hit us up on social. We're both on LinkedIn, very active. And let us know, like, what did you do with Bolt.new? What did you do with Notebook LM? And we want to see what you build. Let's make some community around this, because it's just going to up all of our games.
Yeah, great point, Mark. And, I put a post out recently saying, hey, I'd love to reach out and help anyone up their game with AI. And that can be a little intimidating to just reach out to someone cold. But Mark, I don't know if you know Mary from Taos Furniture. Anyway, she reached out, and
Mary's like, she's like semi-famous in this world. Yeah, Mary's awesome.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited to meet with her tomorrow. And yeah, if anyone wants to do a little, 30, 45-minute exploration session where, we figure out how to optimize your business and your life with AI, like Mark said, myself or Mark, our DMs are open. So, okay, here, interestingly, so it didn't really need to write that much code. It looks like it did write a little bit of code based on that prompt, but what it did most importantly is it gave us directions and places to put the podcast. So you can see this is in very simple English, very clear instructions on where to place those files, so that this is an actual app that holds those podcasts. So pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. So in this case, I want to make sure I understand it. If let's say that somebody's building their own little training portal for their RSAs and their team, and they want to put, some of the fan podcasts, they want to put their own material, whatever it is that you want to put in there. This app, Bolt.new, the one that we're making, is essentially telling you where to put those files. So you have to have them hosted somewhere, right? Or you can upload like the MP3 file here.
Yeah, I believe it depends on the size of the files. I mean, some small files, like you can see these stock images, are being hosted locally. But once you get into 30, 45-minute podcasts, if you try to host those locally, I think it's going to just crush performance. So you're going to want to host them on a Firebase account or something like that. But I know as soon as I said that, a lot of people just checked out, like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Again, that's where Gumption and these AI tools come in handy. So if you ask Bolt, or in this case, I might actually hop over and ask a different AI just so I'm not cluttering up the Bolt thread here. But I would ask them like, hey, I have this app. I need to put the podcast, and I would copy and paste this, and I would ask either ChatGPT or Claude, like, give me step-by-step instructions on exactly how to do this. And I might even tell it, like, I'm not a very technical person, I'm not very good with computers, something like that, so that it, dumbs it down to a level where it's extremely easy instructions to follow.
So, okay, let me make sure I understand this piece of the puzzle too, because you're here in Bolt. You've got, let's say that you get it to a place where you're like, okay, great. I feel comfortable with this. I have a responsive design. I've got the bones of this thing built out. Yeah, I'm going to need to add some content to it. Do you hit deploy, and what does this go up on, like a WordPress site? You could take the code and put it on any site that you want.
So great question. I mean, deploying is currently, kind of the trickiest part with how good some of these apps have gotten at coding. This deploy is going to use Netlify to put it, live on a URL that you can manipulate and send around. I can send it to you. But if you want to really do things like you mentioned, like add your podcast, you're going to want to host it in your own account and be able to have full control of it. So you're going to want to pull it into, an app like GitHub or something like that. And you can see it pretty amazingly. It's giving the instructions here. So just like I said, it gave us a URL. So I can take this. And now if I go over here, I don't know why it's not letting me paste, but let's see. I'll just click on it. So here it is in a URL, the app we built. And, it's it's a lot of fake stuff and it's half baked, but it is a real responsive app with buttons. And then it gives additional instructions like Bolt and the AI behind Bolt. It knows that this is not a production ready app. So it's telling you like, hey, also you need to do this. You need to create a database. You need to build an admin interface to actually put in those podcasts, but it's giving you instructions. So all you'd have to do is say, great, let's get started on number one. And then it will either do it for you if it can do it in Bolt, or it will give you really clear step-by-step instructions.
So a lot of these things, if you're watching on YouTube, you have 5 different steps essentially that it's telling you need to take in order to get this into a production ready environment. And some of these you could say, great, start on number 1, and it's actually going to do that. Any of these tasks that it can do for you, it's going to do.
Yes, exactly. Like, yeah, create a database schema. A lot of this it can do. But as soon as it can't do it, as soon as it's something you need to do, exactly, it'll give you very clear instructions to do it on your own. And then you can kind of take that conversation to your favorite AI and continue working through it continue working through it there.
And so essentially you could, as an owner or a founder, a business owner, or whatever it might be, a manager, you could put this together and get it to like a really close to being a finished state. And then you bring your technical people into it. Or if you want to visualize something and get some thoughts so that you can give the proper inputs to a technical team, you can work through all of that right here.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what it's great for, Mark, is if you were to build an app for like your team, if you have, 8-10 stores or something, I think you could possibly get all the way A to Z through that, and get something that works for your team. If you wanted to create, an app that you like this, that you were selling to other stores that needed different layers and different admin permissions and authorization and stuff like that, that's where we might need to pull in some help from the dev side. But this is about 80% of the work. So to go back to something you said earlier, Mark, I would be interested if you took a description of this app that we just coded and took that description and placed it on Upwork or Fiverr. This is going to be, just to get to this point, is going to be multiple thousands of dollars and multiple weeks to get here. And we just did it, in 20 minutes and for free. So hopefully this is encouraging to people to, get their hands dirty, believe in themselves as builders, that if they have a creative idea, they can either get it to life or they can get a really amazing mock-up. And then if they have enough gumption or enough humility to ask, a few other people for help, we're in an age where non-technical people can build really cool, really amazing things.
That is so well put. Like you said, though, we can get things out of our head and we can bring them to life. I just, as an experiment, I'll tell you this. I helped my friend build an app. I was using an app called Respell. And essentially, you can put together all these different triggering events and contingencies and data feeds. And essentially what we were trying to get to was an app where he works in mortgage finance. And so we were trying to get it to a point where we were pulling in information in real-time feeds for interest rates so that people could input different variables, including closing costs, their interest rates, and a few other fields to see if they were getting the best deal. And because it's hard to know if you are at that point, you're buying a home, am I getting the best deal? And so I hacked this thing together. And luckily, the people from Respell, I ran into a little bit of a roadblock, but I reached out to them. They fixed it for me, and off we went. And we had this really usable app that he could show the spirit of this idea to people. And I think that is what's so wildly impacting right now. I was talking to people that other use cases. It's the ability to personalize the input of information that you want. So just imagine that that you're a person who loves mattress sleep products. You love Ina Garten, the chef, and you space travel. And you want a daily newsletter dedicated to those three topics. You can create that for yourself. And I know some people are creating that type of information for their teams as well, just like little personalized newsletters, taking the RSS feeds, bringing it into basically an email environment and pushing it out.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And what's gotten really popular is verticalized software. And I would put Mattress AI in that category of a piece of software that's just hyper verticalized to one industry and one use case. And you went with your analogy a whole level further, which is like verticalized software to the individual. And I think that that is where everything is going. To give an example of like how different this is from where we were in the internet revolution, I heard stories about how, this is a little bit before my time, but I heard stories about how like on message boards, there were hundreds of people that had the idea of eBay before eBay came out. But guess what? The idea of eBay is worthless before eBay comes out because it's just an idea, and what you need to actually build eBay in that time is a few $1,000,000 and 20 full-time software engineers that are making six figures and all this stuff that is way beyond the simple idea of eBay. And now in 2024, if you have an idea of a marketplace, hey, I want a marketplace where, you're in Bentonville, where bicyclists can meet with other people and trade, bicycle tires or whatever. You could have that app spun up in a day or two. So it's just a completely different world that we're in. And I'm excited you had me on, that we could push your audience towards the future, because one thing I've seen a lot, and I'm sure you've seen it a lot too, Mark, with how open you are about AI, is some people have this reaction of like, well, I don't like that, or I wish things weren't, I just don't, kind of, they plug their ears and no, I don't want to believe any of this is happening. And that doesn't really matter. It's happening. And so to build a positive future, I think engaging and trying to move things in the way that you think they should be is the most powerful response to everything that's going on right now.
And I think a lot of people are doing what you just described. The most significant technological revolution, I think, in human history is unfolding right now with generative AI. And it's not unlike when the Wright brothers first flew their plane at Kitty Hawk. People thought it was a trick. It would be like today if they flew the plane at Kitty Hawk, but then they actually finished the airplane and they brought it back to Ohio. And they were flying around in this field, like the first powered flight. And they're flying around the field. And it took another like 4.5 years for people to admit that we had achieved human flight. And people thought it was a trick. It would not be unlike somebody saying today, like, oh, there's a time machine and they traveled through time. It's some sort of trick. You're playing a trick on us. And that's what the public believed with powered flight. Here we are, and I'm telling you, this is the most significant technological evolution in human history. And it's going to, the future is going to go to the people that can use that Iron Man suit. I truly believe that. And I think right now it's just such a beautiful, wonderful time. Yeah, there's some scary stuff going on. There's no doubt about it. But if you put your head in the sand, you're going to be more likely to get scammed, like you said. You're going to be more likely to get leapfrogged by competition, and you're going to have to pay the tax of not knowing, which is hiring lots and lots of people to do things that are going to be snapping your fingers and it's done.
Agree completely. And just to iterate and push even a little harder, Mark, because I've had a lot of these conversations, and I think a lot of people in our industry, the mattress industry, they experienced the internet revolution. And a lot of them that kind of lived the entire internet revolution 2 to 4 years behind, they ended up okay because, they just, built their website a little bit later than the big guys, but they kind of ended up being okay. The big difference between this revolution is because it's so intuitive, because it can just use your voice and your language and it knows all the context. This revolution is going to happen so much faster that those old habits of, well, I'll just be 2 or 3 years behind the bleeding edge is going to really be a detriment to people if they take that same posture towards AI.
I'll give you a stat, and I couldn't agree more. This one shocked me, and it's of course it happened, but it's so shocking. Within the first month, I think it was the first month of having generative AI art, Dolly, you can do it in ChatGPT now. You could type in some words and boom, it spits out an image. I'm sure a lot of you have done this. It's a fun little trick. But within the first month of that technology being available, there were more images generated than pictures have been taken in human history. And I'm telling you,
and that's where, that's a good analogy of how things aren't moving on a straight line curve. They're moving exponentially. And so it's hard for humans to think in exponentials. But that's a really good analogy to give how exponential things can get.
I was in communication school in college. I remember the stat was, and there's a whole model behind it, but it's going to be blown up now. But it was essentially the speed of computers would double every 18 months. And that was sort of an indicator about the pace of technological advancement. I think it's going to be every 18 minutes, something is going to be at that level with generative AI, because you can do what we just did here with millions and millions of different use cases to improve your life, your business, and start new businesses. On it goes.
Yeah, so Moore's law, I think, so it's the doubling of compute power with the halving of the chip size.
That's it.
And it continued for like 30 or 40 years, like you're saying. And now, what's happening is what you can do is continuing across Moore's law, which is an exponential. It no longer has as much to do with the silicone chips, but the capabilities are continuing on the exact same exponential.
Well, Blake, you are an absolute insane resource for us. I'm so glad that you're in this industry and helping people understand the power of AI. And I know your product, Mattress AI, has a lot of super happy users that, not only is it helping businesses and salespeople, but it's helping consumers get connected to the right mattress. Here's what I would say. We're going to put a bow on it on this one. I want you to tell us, the listener, I want you to tell us, me and Blake, what should we build in the open this next time? We want to build something. And we also want to hear from you. I want you to go and check out these tools. Check out Notebook LM. If you're not a paid ChatGPT or Claude user, you need to be. Check out Whisperflow. Check out Bolt.new. And I'll say one of the advancements I've seen that I think everybody needs to get prepared for is what Claude is doing. Claude is now able to control your computer. And so you're going to be able to give it tasks and it's going to do things, whether that's building spreadsheets or filling in forms. It's simple stuff right now, but it can move your mouse, it can click, it can copy, it can paste, it can type. So these are the sort of agent use cases that are going to get even more powerful. So you can just tell it to do something, sit back, and your computer's going to do it for you.
Yeah, we could maybe explore. Have you heard of Lindy LM, Mark?
No, Lindy?
Or no, not LM, just Lindy, Lindy. Yeah, it's an agent framework that uses AI that, if you're familiar with Zapier, it's a bit of a Zapier competitor with more AI kind of built in from the ground up, but that builds agents. So if someone in the comments put like, I want something that reads all my emails, and for these specific emails, it sends me a text message, things like that, where it's doing things outside of an LLM chat interface. Yeah, we should totally build something like that next time. But yeah, I'm excited to see what people put in the comments for ideas.
Well, Blake, thank you so much. How can people get connected with you? Over on LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn's pretty quick if you drop me a DM. Yeah, or you can check out themattressai.com. Mattress-Wizard is something I built pretty recently that's kind of cool if you're a mattress shopper. So yeah, I'm always building and tinkering around, but LinkedIn would be the easiest way to get a hold.
All right, and we're looking forward to hearing from everybody about what you're building, what you want us to build, where you think we should take these things. Anything you want to learn, reach out to us. Here on the FAM podcast, we're going to be doing a lot more with AI because I feel like I've been doing so much, but a lot of it I tend to do like work on my own use cases and try to understand it before I start talking too publicly about it. And I remember the very first conversation we had on here was with Matt Mann from Sweet Dreams Mattress and Furniture. And he was talking about how game changing this is going to be. And I hadn't really wrapped my head around it. But now that we've been having our hands in the clay, we're building here live. We're going to be doing a lot more of this. Blake Austin with Mattress AI. Thank you so much for being on the FAM podcast. You're amazing, man.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
All right. Make sure and share this with some friends. And one final note, whenever you use Notebook LM and you get your group chat and you turn it into a podcast, don't freak out your friends like I do, because you're going to be getting phone calls, people saying, you've been hacked. Don't do that. I say sometimes don't be so far in front of your platoon, you get shot in the back. But definitely have some fun with it. I think that's one of the coolest things you can do is just like toy and tinker, have some fun, have some things going on with your friends, and then like get started. We want to see you use this in your business. Be sure to share this with your friends. Give us a like, thumbs up, comment, and go over and watch this on YouTube if you haven't seen it.